Okay, we are live, you guys. Welcome. Welcome to our Unleashed Area Hangout. This is National Sales Director Leah Laughlin, and we just got home from career conference, and I wanted to just get in front of our area. Of course, for those of you who've been at career conference, we just had a magical weekend over these past couple of days. And then for those of you who maybe weren't there, I just wanted to get in front of you and go over some stuff because like change is in the air in so many different ways. Change is in the air, and so I wanted to talk through some specific things that are changing so that as your leader we can just all get on the same page and all be really clear about the changes that are happening so we can all move forward. And I really believe all the changes that are taking place are going to they're going to produce growth. They're going to produce growth in your business and in our area. And so we had an incredible weekend in Cincinnati at Career Conference. It started with myself taking 5 of our sales directors to a blow-dry bar that's in the Cincinnati area. Our top 5 directors from our pace setters that we did back in January and February earned this little outing with myself, and that was Charlotte Goody-Kuntz and Stephanie Cost, Alicia Barlow, Blythe Egbert, and Hillary Putoff went with me, and we got our hair blown out, and it was really fun and relaxing and just a really nice way to start the weekend. And then Red Jackets and Directors had a special leadership class before the event kicked off that Friday night. And then the event started, and we got to hear just from so many amazing people, either through videos. We heard these wise stories from videos of consultants and sales directors and national sales directors in Mary Kay. And then we also got to hear from a top 3 directors at our conference, and then there were 4 NSDs at the conference. And then we had this really intimate gathering in my suite with our new and promoted Reds. We had a little reception, and we ate and we hung out just for a little while and did some recognition for our new and promoted Reds. And now my Voxer is literally just blowing up with messages from our sales directors and from our consultants about the experience and the takeaways that you had at Career Conference. So it truly was a very magical weekend. And now that it's Monday after Career Conference, it is time to put action to the inspiration. I heard at seminar that unless you take action on something new that you've learned within 72 hours, there's like a 6% chance or 6% likelihood that you'll ever take action on it. Like the chance, if you don't take fast action and an immediate action on something new that you've learned or new inspiration that you got, with every day that passes, you're less likely to ever take action on it. Okay, so let's put action to your inspiration that you received at Career Conference, and let's get in motion and let's get to work, because that is the next best step. It's wonderful and it feels good to get motivated and inspired, you guys, but let's use that motivation to actually make a change and produce growth in your business. And so I want to go over a couple of things on this Hangout. I want to talk about the new programs that are in place. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience, which some of you have heard about and some of you haven't. So I'm going to share a little bit of what I experienced there and what it's done for me and my business. And then the flip chart reveal coming soon. And then I'm going to finish it up with information about a pace setters that we're going to do later on this spring. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover. So, okay, the Perfect 12 has been launched. I mean, we're doing it. The Perfect 12 is happening right now in the Unleashed area. And it replaced the Gen X program. Okay, the Gen X program was amazing. I grew up doing Gen X. I really attribute Gen X to a lot of my success as a consultant and director, but it's just time for a change and it's time for a shift. And I think the Perfect 12 is the great shift, because honestly, it's sort of the same thing as Gen X, you guys. So let's not get too confused, and it's really not that big of a change. It's just a shift in your focus from faces to parties. And I think that's going to be a healthy shift. Now, when the Gen X program was in place, you guys, for the years that I was a consultant and director, I did parties. Okay, let's be clear. I wasn't running around doing like 30 to 50 faces. I held parties. But I just think this Perfect 12 is just a slight enough tweak in your mindset that I think it's going to produce more results in your business. And we're going to move from like just this, sometimes what can be just a frantic attempt to get a bunch of faces in, or get a bunch of facials in, or get a lot of faces in at the last minute at the end of the month to hit your numbers. We're going to switch from that to this intentional focus on full circle parties. And that's going to be a great focus. Okay, so let's review the perfect 12, because I just want to make sure we all understand it. I'm going to do a quick review. I know we've trained on it. I know your sales director is probably trained on it. I know you've seen the flyer, but I'm just going to do a quick review of what it is and hopefully answer some questions that have come up as I do this review, okay? So it's called Perfect 12. The top level is 12 parties in 1 month, and or 60 faces. And you guys, we threw in the faces with that because we want you to still track that too, okay? But really the focus is on parties. So 12 parties, 12 career surveys, 1,200 wholesale, which at 2,400 retail. So when you sell 2,400 retail, you reorder half of that. If you're at profit level, and actually let me talk about that for a minute. That's if you're at profit level, and profit level or a full inventory that you can go to those 12 parties, people can purchase from you, and you can say, here you go, here's your product, because you've got it on hand. And then you reorder once a month at the end of the month to restock what you've sold, to keep your inventory up. And then the other half is your profit. Okay, so that's if you have a full inventory. If you don't have a full inventory, then what we train you to do, and I'm not doing training on this today, this is going to have to be covered in another hangout or by your sales director, is to reinvest part, if not all, of your profit back into your business to build your inventory. I realize not everybody can start with a full store in Mary Kay, and not everybody wants to, but I do believe everyone should build to that level, because you make more money and you build a more solid customer base. People purchase more from you. You save a lot on expenses that come with having to order and deliver all of the product. You save a lot of time. I mean, I could go on and on and on about the benefits of having a full inventory. Okay, so when you have a full store, you're reordering half of what you sold. So half of 2,400 retail is 1,200 wholesale. If you don't have a full store, you really would need to have a conversation with your director about a plan for how you can reinvest to build to a full inventory, okay? And then the recognition at this level is everything you earn at the bottom levels. And actually, let me start with Perfect 4, and I'll move my way up. Perfect 4, you're going to be recognized in your unit with however your director decides to recognize Perfect 4 achievers. And then your name will be featured in our Unleashed area flyer and in our newsletter. So you're going to get unit and area recognition. Okay, Perfect 6, you get the same unit recognition and area recognition, plus you get a private one-on-one Voxer congratulations from me at the end of the month. Level 8 is the same as level 4 and 6, in addition to a private Q&A hangout with me that only Perfect 8s and Perfect 12s are invited to. And it's going to be Q&A, so you can just ask me any questions you want. I'll answer anything, or at least just about anything. Nothing's off limits for the most part. And we'll have that special intimate hangout just with Perfect 8 and Perfect 12 achievers once a month. And then Perfect 12 is everything that 4, 6, and 8 earn, plus you get a private 15-minute FaceTime strategy call with myself. And then you and your family are going to be featured in one full page of the Unleashed area newsletter. So we'll feature you and your business as a way to recognize you for achieving that level. Okay, let's go down to Perfect 8, and that's holding 8 parties, 8 career surveys, 800 wholesale, which is selling 1,600 retail. Perfect 6 is holding 6 parties, 6 career surveys, and ordering 600 wholesale, which is selling 1,200 retail. And you reorder half of that. And then a Perfect 4 is 4 parties, 4 career surveys, and 400 wholesale, meaning you're selling 800 retail. Okay, so that's the scoop. Let me talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about the career surveys here because Pam, Julie, and I really wanted to be on the same page with the requirements just for consistency in the Epic family. And we like everybody feeling a part of this bigger family, and part of doing that is being consistent with our programs. Okay, so doing 12 parties and doing only 12 career surveys is not okay. Okay, let's be clear. Doing 12 parties and only doing 12 career surveys is not okay. And so I want you to mentally increase your expectation for that. And for this specific recognition, they would need to be actual career surveys. Coffee, if that's not realistic or possible, it would be on the phone doing a career survey. In this situation specifically, guests don't count for these numbers, but I want you to track your guests on the tracking sheet. But let's say you just had 12 guests to your meeting that month and did no career surveys, you wouldn't hit the perfect 12. Okay, because you've got to at least do those 12 career surveys. But here's what I learned about what a full circle party is. A full circle party is 2 + 2 + 2. And then I really added, personally, this is my personal preference, I added another 2. Okay, so 2 + 2 + 2, 2. At least 200 retail sales, at least 2 future parties booked, at least 2 career surveys set up, either live over coffee or in person. And then what I added is inviting at least 2 guests to your meeting. Okay, so those 4 twos. So let's say you had 12 parties and you follow the full circle formula of at least setting up 2 career surveys. You guys, 12 times 2 is 24. And that's truly where I believe you should be with career surveys, is doing 2 per party. And so 8 would not just produce 8 career surveys, it would produce 16. 12 parties would produce 12, I'm sorry, 6 parties would produce 12 career surveys, and 4 parties would produce 8. And so I may end up switching that or changing that. I'm not going to do it this month because I don't want to throw too many changes all at one time, but I may end up changing that just so we don't lower down our expectation of how many career surveys really should be done. Because I don't want you to do 12 parties and only share the opportunity with 12 people, because you're missing out on a lot of potential recruits and prospects when that happens, okay? And then the other thing I wanted to touch on, and then we're going to move on, is the weekly focus. Now, a question that's come up several times is, let's say you're on vacation for the first week, but then in the last 3 weeks you finish your 12 parties, you would still be recognized for a perfect 12, even though maybe you didn't do it exactly perfectly week by week, okay? So as long as by the end of the month those numbers are done. Now, I think it's ideal to do it week by week just because of the consistency of it, but that's not necessarily a requirement to be recognized at these levels at the end of the month. And so a perfect 12 is 3 parties a week. Perfect 8 is 2 parties a week. A perfect 6 is 1 to 2 parties a week, 1 to 2, because 6 doesn't divide evenly into 4. And then perfect 4 is 1 party a week. And so it's a weekly focus. I'm going to break down the hours in a couple minutes of how much time I think this will take, and hopefully just paint a picture of how part-time this work actually is. Even at the perfect 12 level, this is still part-time work. This is your part-time job on the side. So for those of you who have full-time careers, or for those of you who are moms and don't have a lot of childcare help, or for those of you sales directors who have bigger units that you're supporting, I still so strongly believe that even the perfect 12 is so part-time as far as the time that you're investing into it. And I think it's realistic for everyone. I really do. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. And so the perfect 12 tracking sheet, I want to pull up here. And I meant to print it, but let me show it to you here. That's what it looks like. We have emailed the PDF file and we've posted the JPEG. So somehow you should be able to get your hands on it, probably from your sales director. And I want to talk about this sheet. I want to talk about this sheet, and I want you to use the sheet. We put a lot of time and energy and a lot of edits. I had our Cadillac sales directors help me to edit this and like really make sure it was clear and simple to use and straightforward. And so we want you to use the sheet, because Google Docs came onto the scene a few years ago, and really a lot of people switched from having their consultants like fax this or scan it and email. We went from just a Google Doc form, and then you pull up the responses and you see a spreadsheet. And I think that's great. I love Google Docs, and I will always use them until something better comes along. But what happens is when I pull up the spreadsheet, I just see numbers. And yes, numbers are like black and white numbers are really good to see, but I'm sort of missing what I would see on the sheet. Like I used to know all my consultants' handwriting. I used to know, I could like see someone's handwriting and know who it was because I was always seeing their sheets that they would fill out in their handwriting. And there's just something so telling about seeing the actual sheet filled out with handwriting. And I think it's a more clear picture of what's happening in your business thing. I'm pretty sure I've officially decided that I'm actually going to have my unit text me or Vox me the picture of their Perfect 12 tracking. And then maybe use the Google Doc form at the end of the month for final numbers. But I want to see the flipping sheet, because I want to see like what's really happening in her business, because then I can more effectively support her in growth. Okay, so use the sheet, print it off, and use it, because it's going to help you. Attract number grows. And so this is going to be a big support for you to use the sheet. Okay, and it basically tracks your parties. It tracks your retail sales, and it says 1,000 retail sales per week, not because that's a requirement, but because I want you to start thinking at that level. I want you to start thinking and believing and doing the work to actually sell 1,000 retail per week, 4,000 total for the month, $2,000 wholesale order. I believe that is a possibility for anyone who is focused and intentional on holding parties and building a strong reorder customer base. Okay, so that's why we put the 1,000, because we just want to stretch your thinking, and we want you to start believing the $1,000 weeks are possible. We do have tracking for faces on here, for 60 faces that you would sort of bubble in as you go. Just to know how many faces you're doing, just for information's sake. But again, the focus is on the parties. I don't think you can really see this, but. And then there's tracking for career surveys and guests. But remember, if you're hitting a perfect 12 of them at least have to be career surveys. We may up that number in the future. Just a heads up. And then you're tracking your gold medal here. And then at the very end of the month, there's a place for month-to-date totals. And you add up all your numbers month to date, and those are what you'll be turning into your sales director for official recognition at the end of the month. Okay, so use the sheet, and then let's see, we're going to move on to something else that's new that we just launched, which is called our Party Time program. It's Party X, which means party time. And we kind of had some talk about whether we should call it the Party X program or the Party Time program. And so we've officially decided on Party Time. Okay, we're going to call it the Party Time program. And you can do a Party Time 8 or Party Time 12. Those are the two levels that we are recognizing. And this is replacing the Book 10 or Book 5 program. It's now called Party Time 8 or Party Time 12. Okay? So let me talk about how this program has changed. And the biggest change, besides the name and the level recognized, is that we're going to recognize it twice a month. So it will be due on the 5th, either a Party Time 8 or a Party Time 12, and the 15th, either a Party Time 8 and a Party Time 12. Those two levels will be recognized. And the reason we're doing it twice a month is because we want to avoid the pitfalls that can come from not booking consistently all month. because here's what happens. You scramble to get your book 10 done by the 5th. You turn it in. Woo! Glad that's over. And then you go through the month and you hold those parties, and some cancel and some hold, and then it's the 1st again. And you're like, oh crap, I need to get my book 10 done. Scramble, 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 scramble. You get your book 10 or book 5 done, and then you're like, whoo, glad that's over. And then you stop booking. And so the way I always worked as a top director, and this is not because I had to, this is just because it made sense to me, is I had a book 10 done for the 1st through the 15th. And then as I got closer to the middle of the month, I made sure I had another book 10 done for the 16th through the 30th. And so I booked 10 on the front end to hold 5. I booked 10 on the back end to hold 5, which was usually I landed right around 10 parties a month, which was 2 to 3 a week, give or take, was just how I operated my business. And so I thought, you know what, that's how I was thinking about it. That's how I want to recognize it now in our area, is that you do your bookings for the first half and then you do your bookings again for the second half, so that you continue the habit of booking, and so that you focus on bookings from your bookings, because now our focus is on full circle parties. So we're going to really train you on how to book from your bookings. And then we're going to avoid the scramble that happens on the 1st through the 5th. I mean, it's exhausting. And why work like that? I want to see 10 parties on your date books at all time. And so that when you hit the April 1st, it's not some scramble. It's just like, oh yeah, I got them. Here they are. There are my 10. Because you're always booking from your bookings, and you fill in the gaps with consistent booking calls in case you're not at 10. Okay, so that's why we're going to recognize it twice a month, and we will be doing recognition in our area twice a month. Sales directors, you guys have the freedom to just to do recognition and promotions however you want to recognize it in your unit. Sort of how we did book 10. I know a lot of you just ran with your own book 10 and book 5 promotions, and then we also recognized it in our area. We're going to kind of run it the same way. And then every now and then, I might do an area-wide party time 8 or party time 12 recognition or promotion, just when I feel like it. So that's the Party X program, and we now have a tracking sheet. We used to not have a book 10 tracking sheet, you guys, but we now do have a perfect, it says the Perfect 12 program meets the Party X program, and it looks like this. And if you don't have your hands on this, we'll make sure you get a hold of it. And again, use the flip-in sheet. We made this sheet not just so it looks cute and so it's pretty. We made it for you to use. And so that's what we're going to use. And it has a space for you to record your parties from the 1st through the 15th, and then the 16th through the 30th. And okay, here's a question that came up. Let's say on the 5th, you've got, well, here's ideally what should happen is they really shouldn't be booked more than 2 weeks out. That's ideal, is that it's not more than 2 weeks out. And so when you're done with your book 8, I'm gonna have to get used to the new language. When you're done with your party time 8 or your party time 12 by the 5th, ideally they should really be loaded up on the front end of the month. Because when you start booking really far out, they're more likely to cancel. But we're not going to like punish you if they're not. And so let's say you've got your party time 12 done by the 5th. Those parties can be within the entire calendar month. Okay, so when we do it in April, they can be in the whole month of April. But then on the 15th, they would, and you finish your party time 12 or party time 8 again, they would all have to be within that one calendar month. That makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let me run through some examples. Let's say you do a party time 12 one time that month in April. You would be on target to achieve a perfect 6 because 12 booked parties produce 6 held parties, because usually half is going to cancel or reschedule. That's normal. Now, let's say you do a Party X12 on the 5th and then again on the 15th. You've really put yourself on target to have a perfect 12. Okay, do it once and it's a perfect 6. Do it twice and it's a perfect 12. Okay, party time 8. If you do that once, it's a perfect 4. If you do it twice, it's a perfect 8. And so I hope by breaking the month up into two, kind of like the start and the finish, I just really believe that's going to support your focus, and it's going to make you more aware of what is actually on your date book and what's not. Because at the middle of the month, you're going to have a real clear picture of what's still left and what you've been adding as the month has been progressing. And again, what I believe I'm going to do with my unit sales directors is have them send me an actual picture of this to count for recognition. Like, I want to see the actual picture, and I want to see it filled out. Now, there are 3 things that we require for it to count. Oh, and I'm looking at the not fully updated version. I'm going to do this from memory. Okay, it will need to be confirmed to count. And so what I consider confirmed is, okay, so you book her today, you get a booking on the date book, and then you always set up that 24-hour call later, the next day, to confirm and to pre-profile her and to ideally get the guest list. Okay, you always do that the next day. You don't do it on the spot because you want to talk to her the next day to see if she's committed. Okay, so you book her, you hang up, you have a specific time to call her the next day. You call her again, you confirm it. You say, okay, I've got you down for April 2nd. Does that date and time still work for you? You confirm it. Yes. Okay, great. I've got a couple questions to ask you just to find out about your skin and the kind of makeup that you're interested in. Let me run through those questions. You pre-profile her, and then you're getting her guest list, which you already talked about on the first call. So when we first book her, you talk to her about a guest list. That next call later, you're confirming, pre-profiling, getting a guest list. If that confirmation phone call did not happen, it is not a booking. Okay, it's not a booking. And don't even think of it as a booking until you've confirmed her. That's when it becomes a booking. I wouldn't even put it in ink on your date book until you've had that next call 24 hours later, where you pre-profile her and get the guest list, or at least you know it's in motion and she's working on getting it together, or she's setting up the Facebook group, or you're setting up the Facebook group for her to add her people that she wants to invite. Like, at least it's in motion. Okay, so any bookings that you actually get on the 5th or the 15th, they automatically can't count because you haven't had that chance to do that next day phone call. Okay, just want to make sure we're all on the same page, because on the tracking sheet, it has you check off. Has it been confirmed? Yes or no. Have you pre-profiled? Yes or no. Do you have the guest list? Yes or no. So we're gonna have you keep it real with us and let us know, like, are these really bookings or are they just like fake bookings? Because they're like fake bookings until you actually confirm it. Okay. Okay. So, and here's another question that came up: is do you have to achieve the Party X 8 or 12 to get recognition for the Perfect 12 program and either the level 4, 6, 8, or 12? And the answer is no. Like, if you don't do a Party X 8 or 12, but then you end up doing a Perfect 6, we're going to recognize you for that. But I just wouldn't try to do it that way. That wouldn't be my plan, because I don't know how well that plan is going to work out. So Party X supports the Perfect 12 program, or Party Time. The Party Time program produces the Perfect 12 program, depending on what level that you hit. Don't try to skip over the Party Time program and try to make the Perfect 12 happen. Yes, you're kind of gambling at that point. Okay, we are redefining the Power Start. You guys, I got a couple more things to share and then I'll be done. We're redefining the Power Start. It used to be a Perfect Start was 15 faces and a Power Start was 30 faces. Now we're changing the Perfect Start to a Book 8 to hold 4, to finish a Perfect 4. And a Power Start is now a Book 12 to hold 6. So sales directors, when you talk to new consultants about booking their Perfect Start or their Power Start, it now is a switch from doing their 15 or 30 faces to a Book 8 to hold 4 is a Perfect Start, or a Book 12 to hold 6, which is a Power Start. Okay, so we sort of redefine those. We are going to get that on paper somewhere. I haven't figured out where yet, but we are going to get that on paper so we're all really clear and on the same page. Okay. My next topic, I'm going to share a little bit more about Sweden. I've shared this with smaller groups of people, but not with our area as a whole. And so I just want to share a few things. And so Mary Kay asked me to speak and teach at the Western and Central European NSD Assembly. And so it was national sales directors from all over Western and Central parts of Europe. So it was Spain, Germany, Poland, the Czech Republic, and then maybe one or two other countries. And they were national sales directors that came. Every year in the US nationals do a NSD summit in November in Dallas. And so this was sort of their version of what we do at our NSD summit. And so there were about 30 national sales directors there. And I taught 5 classes over 2.5 days. And then some of their top nationals taught a class. And so I got to hear from them. And then they also did an inner circle NSD panel where there, I believe there were 5 inner circle nationals who spoke on that NSD panel. So I got to hear from them. And of course, like, we went out to dinner with them, we did lunch with them. I really got to know these women. And you guys, I was blown away by these women. They are fierce and gritty and strong and inspiring because they don't have the advantages that we have in the US. Mary Kay is not a household name in most of these countries. It hasn't been, they haven't had the 50 years of success to show people that we've had here in the US. And of course they have the US example, but people want their own, want their own example. And so it hasn't been around that long in these other countries. There's more internet limitations. A lot of their consultants don't have internet. In Russia, there's actually like wars breaking out. They talked about a story about consultants who were in one country, war broke out, and they had like a few days to sign a new agreement because they were now a citizen of Russia. And a few days ago, they weren't. And so they have all these challenges and dynamics that we just don't have here. And so I was just blown away by their strength and their grit, and they were incredibly inspirational. And what was so loud and clear is that they hold parties, even at the national sales director level. They hold parties, and not just a few, but a lot of parties. Consult directors, national sales directors hold full circle parties, which is just producing this like crazy amount of growth that is happening in some of these other countries. And so it inspired me so much when I was there that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hold some parties. I'm going to hold some like real Mary Kay parties. And that's what I've been doing since I've been back from Sweden, is booking and holding parties. And it has been almost 4 years since I have been in motion with holding parties. And let me tell you why. The role of a national sales director is different than the role of a director. And it's meant to be different. And the priorities and the focus are different. They are. When Mary Kay set up the position of NSD years and years ago, holding parties wasn't really a part of the role when Mary Kay initially set up this position. But things have changed. Things have changed. And I think it's smart to roll with the changes and to be aware of the changes and how time is changing. And so like I said, I've been holding parties. I'm on target for a perfect 6 right now, which I believe that's what I'll finish up this month. And I want to share a little bit more about why I'm doing it and what I've learned in the process, because I'm about halfway there right now with my perfect 6. So here, one reason is, I don't know, I just, when I was in Sweden, I'm like, I'm going to show them, I'm going to show these international NSDs that I can do this too. So I was just inspired and motivated by them. And then another part of it is because I do want to be more relevant to our area. And I'm about to teach you, I'm about to unveil and teach you the flip chart, this new flip chart that we've got going on. And just a little bit of background. When I came into Mary Kay, there was no flip chart. I learned to just do it from like typing out notes and following this outline and following the beauty book, okay? Then there was a flip chart, and it was awesome, and I used the flip chart. And then the flip chart went away again for a variety of reasons. So now there is no flip chart that comes in your starter kit. And so we're in the process of making a flip chart for you that you can actually print out on glossy, thick paper. And there's a type of a binder that you can purchase that you can actually have it set up like a flip chart. And it has really great visuals. And then it has the skincare party script that is right there for you. Like, it's going to be amazing. And so I'm about to unveil this and train you on the flip chart. And I thought, well, instead of just telling them what to do, I'm gonna like do it and become more relevant and actually use it in the field before I teach you to do it. Because I always want to lead by example, and I don't want to teach theory. And so that's another reason I'm holding these parties. I also want to be in front of people. I forgot how fun that is to do parties. Honestly, like after I did my first one, I came home and I was like in such a good mood. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so fun. There were about 7 women there and they were great. They had a great time. It was after work one evening. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I forgot how fun it is to be in front of people and to sell the product and to personally recruit. Also, you guys, I realized how simple it is. Okay, how simple it is. It has been the most simple, enjoyable process that I have just loved for the past 2 to 3 weeks now that I've been working on this. And like I said, I'm on target for a perfect 6. I've done 15 faces, right around there. I've done a handful of career surveys. I have 1 new personal recruit who came in qualified, and I've sold about 1,000 retail so far at this point where I'm halfway through the month. And I know what you're thinking. Of course, she's doing well with sales director, like simple for her. And let me tell you what, they don't know I'm a national sales director. They don't know what that means. So I'm not going into these parties and they're thinking, wow, she's a national sales director. They could care less that I'm a national sales director. And they really don't know very much about what that even means, okay? So, and also I'm a little rusty, honestly. I'm a little rusty from not holding them for 4 years. You guys, I had to order a new starter kit. I had to go through all my stuff, get it all organized, get it all prepped, print out new hostess plans, create a new hostess plan. I had to create and print new sheets. Like I had to go through the entire process that a new consultant would go through to prep for her party because my stuff was outdated and it just needed to be freshened up. So I have invested time in doing that. And, you know, after doing a couple of parties, it just got me that at every level on the career path in our area, from new consultants to seasoned consultants to DIQs to new directors to our top directors in our area, at every single level, I want us to increase our standard and our expectation about how many parties you're holding in the field. And I think we have enormous room for improvement in this area, that we need to hold more full circle qualified parties at every level on the career path. I mean, come on. It is time to hold more parties. And I'm just not buying the excuse anymore of why maybe you're not holding. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, like, if you want to grow in your Mary Kay business and there's like some goal you want to achieve and you're not holding a perfect 8 at least, like it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And we need to reconnect. We need to reconnect parties to growth. Guys, I hear from everybody on all levels of the career path. New consultants, seasoned consultants, new directors, DIQs, seasoned directors, top directors in our area, directors at every level of CAR. And to hear that you want growth, but then there's no connection with at least a perfect 8 or a perfect 12, it like doesn't make sense because it's a perfect 8. And I'm just gonna throw that out there. I think a perfect 8 produces growth. A perfect 4 and a perfect 6 is more for just like hanging out, maintaining. You might experience some growth, but it's going to be slower. You actually have a goal that requires gotta be a perfect 8 or a perfect 12. And we just need to stop making excuses. You guys, Mary Kay Ash had high standards. And I don't think she'd be impressed if she saw the number of parties being held at every level in the career path. I think we need to raise our standards and expectations, and we need to dismiss our excuses. And like, let's get real. Let's get real about the work that it takes. So let me quickly go over the hours because I have been tracking this. I am going to parties with the intention, and I'm actually telling women that my goal is to keep the party at 45 minutes and the individual consultations at 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how many people that are there. And so my first party was actually 55 minutes because I timed it, and they were a talkative group, and you guys, they would have been with me for 3 more hours. I mean, they were having a ball. And so I kept it to 55 minutes just out of respect for my own time, not because they wanted to leave. But it was 55 minutes, and then individual consultations took 45 minutes, and I think there were seven total people there. Okay, so what I think is a party's going to take at least 3 hours. Okay, about 2 hours to hold it, and then an additional hour just for the setup, for the drive there, for hanging out afterwards. But I really think the party should take about 2 hours max. Okay, but I allotted 3 hours of time per party. I think it takes about 1 hour to follow up, because I've been doing the whole 9 yards, you guys. I've been doing the pre-profiling, the coaching, the guest list, the follow-up after they purchase the product, the career survey follow-up, and follow-up from a party, I'm guessing about an hour from just what I've seen in the work that I've done with the parties I've held. And then I added an hour of prep on top of that. And I think that's a little bit, that's more than I think what you need, but I've just needed that extra time to prep because I feel like I'm starting at 0, okay? And so 3 hours to hold the party, 1 hour of follow-up, 1 hour of prep is 5 hours per party. Multiply that by 2 for a perfect 8, and that's 10 hours a week that you're investing in your business to hold 2 parties a week to finish a perfect 8. Multiply it by 3 parties a week, that's 15 hours a week. That's just 15 hours a week to hold a perfect 12. Just 15 hours a week to hold a perfect 12, which is like, you'd be killing it. You would be killing it in your sales, your personal career surveys, your personal recruiting, your bookings from bookings, your referrals that you would get. You would be freaking killing it on 3 parties a week, which takes 15 hours a week. Okay, I hope that brings it into perspective, that even at the top level of activity that we're going to recognize, we're not talking about a line. Okay? So consultants who want to change your financial situation, red jackets who want to be DIQs, directors who want that next level car or unit club. I mean, what's your excuse? We got to put our big girl panties on and get to work, my friends. And I believe that, and I'm willing to do it with you to prove that it's doable. And let me just add that I have done all of this booking, coaching, profiling, following up while maintaining all other work that I do as an NSD and as a sales director. You know, I haven't ignored my unit or ignored other things I do as an NSD in the process. And so I just have this new wave of excitement and hope that, like, oh my gosh, this is so doable. This is simple. This is fun. Like, we get to party. We get to party. And you know, another really incredible thing that I've learned at some of the parties I've been to, I think there's change happening in our society in general, because at every party, without me prompting this, I wasn't like prompting them to say this. They just said it. They're like, it's so nice to get together. It's so nice to get together. I like getting together. And one of my hostesses even said, she's like, we think we're so connected on social media, but like, we're more disconnected than ever. And I know that there's all these like Facebook parties happening with Mary Kay, and all the direct sales companies are doing Facebook parties, which are great. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. She's like, I didn't want to do a Facebook party. I wanted to get my friends together and like be in person. And then at the other parties I've held, they've said something to that effect. It's like, man, it's so nice to get together and to be in person. So we get to party, you guys. We get to party. We get to bring people together and be face to face and touch people and be in their space and get to know them and build relationships. We get to do that. Now it's just time to do more of it. We just need to increase our standard. And so just an update on the flip chart, and I'll wrap it up here because this is longer than I wanted to take. So the flip chart, my goal is to edit it. It's gonna take me another week, maybe 2, to edit it. And then we're gonna do the big reveal, flip chart reveal, probably at the end of this month or in April. We're also working on a new closing sheet that's going to support you with core parts of the skincare class, like getting referrals and closing the roll-up bag and marketing. It's going to be a beautiful closing sheet that's going to support you in going through all those processes, and it's not going to allow you to chicken out on all of it, because like the guest is going to have to fill out every part front and back of this closing sheet. And so once we reveal the flip chart, what I'm going to do is a flip chart pace setters, where I'm going to go through and break down on a Google Hangout every piece of the skincare class, and we are going to freaking master the party. Like, we are going to become phenomenal at the party. And the Hangout is going to be, I think I'm going to invest an hour of time training on it. And then I'm going to give you guys credit for the vouchers to be a part of the hub. You don't have to be a part of a hub, but if we, I want to create hubs because I think it's more powerful that way, where people get together in person. And so I'll train for an hour, and then like maybe for 30 minutes later, you'll actually have a chance to practice your skills or get more in-person training from a hub leader that's going to be a part of it. And you will get credit on your vouchers for being a part of a hub. It will be similar to Daring Greatly, but a shorter hangout where I'll train, and then a little bit of time where you actually get to practice and ask questions and engage more with the people who are at your hub. It's going to be in April on Monday evenings. We'll open up registration soon. It's going to be $15 to register, and we are going to give away a ton of prizes. I haven't figured out exactly what all the rewards will be, but it's going to be fun. We're going to reward you and recognize you for the activity that you do for this pace setters, and we're really going to just master this flip chart and become phenomenal at doing parties. And you guys, that's what I want our area to be known for. I mean, let's be the example in Mary Kay. Let's be the example. Let us set the standard. Let's be known for holding parties that produce growth. Let's lead the way in this, you guys, because I think it's not only going to transform our area, but all of Mary Kay. And it's going to support growth in the US. I'm tired of hearing how all these international companies are having massive, crazy growth. Let that be us. It can be us here in the US, here in the Unleashed area. And it's going to happen by full circle parties. And we're going to do this together. And I'm really excited. All right, you guys, that's it. So stay tuned. More information coming soon. And I know your sales directors have just been incredible with training you on this new stuff too. I've been hearing from them and what they're doing in their individual units to prepare and train you guys. So just roll with your director. She's got you. She's going to train you. She's going to fill you in on all the information, and it's just going to be phenomenal. All right, you guys, have a blessed Monday.